Hi, fourth graders. This is our first read for My Librarian is a Camel. I'm going to read the whole story with you. There's going to be spots where this is going to stop and you are going to be asked a question. When it stops and you're asked a question, your job is to type the answer in the box. Just do the very best you can with spellings and things. I just want to see what your answer is, and then you'll get to press play and move on in the video. So to do this, you need to have your anthology. We're looking at My Librarian is a Camel. Make sure you have your anthology out. Turn to page 78. If you need to pause this video to get out your anthology or turn to page 78, please do that. All right, we're going to look at the genre first. The genre of this video is an informational text. It says an informational text. Look at the bottom of page 78 in that little white box. This is where I'm reading it at. It gives facts and examples about a topic. Okay? Informational text. You hear the word information in there? An informational text gives information. So, in the box, I want you to write, what does an informational text give? Okay. As you read, look for, this kind of gives you a hint about what kinds of things you're looking for in informational text, because usually informational text will have these things. Usually they'll have headings that begins with sections of related items, so kind of like a mini title that tells you what that next section is about. It'll have pictures and captions. Oftentimes they'll have graphics to help explain the topic, such as maps, photographs, and captions. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn now to page 80. We're going to start to read the story. I'm going to read from the very top up above the pictures. Make sure that you're there, please. Not every community has a library. Read on to learn more about some of the unique ways librarians deliver books to communities in distant areas. All right, we have a heading. Remember, the heading tells us a little bit about what the next section is going to be about. This heading says Canada. So I know that this section is probably going to talk about Canada, probably more specifically about libraries in Canada. All right, here we go. Nunavut, which means our land in the language of the Inuit people, is a huge territory in Canada's north. The Arctic region stretches from the North Pole to Arvia in the south, and from Kuglukut in the west to Panjintung in the east. I'm doing my very best with some of these really big words. I'm sure I'm reading some of them wrong, sorry. The distances are huge and many villages are very isolated. There's a vocabulary word, isolated. The Northwest Territories reach from Nunavut in the south to the Yukon in the west. Larger towns like Iqaluit and Tuktoyaktuk, that's the best I can do to sound it out, and Yellowknife have their own public library buildings, but many communities are just too small. Some communities, like Fort Lard, have a virtual library, which offers internet access. Okay, so I've just heard that really big towns have their own libraries, but then smaller communities will have virtual libraries. Virtual means it's not in person. It's usually over the computer. Like we're doing virtual learning. You're not in class in person. We're doing it virtual. You're on the computer. So they have virtual libraries, which offers internet access. But even if the community does not have any kind of library building, the Northwest Territories public library system offers books to everyone in the far north through their borrower by mail program. So I want you to think, what's one difference between big towns and small communities in the Northwest Territory of Canada? What's something you notice that's different between a big town and a small community? Type your answer. All right, and now I want you to think, what are two ways that small towns get, or their smaller communities, what are two ways that they get to have their library books? How do they get to access information? Look back in that last paragraph and find your answer and type it in the box, please. All right. Tyson, Annickvik, Colin, Iguatik, James, Nakak, and Cameron Ovlock are friends in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut. They request library books by email or by phone. A mobile library doesn't bring the books to their village. The books are sent through the mail. The Borrower by Mail program will send children any books they'd like to read. If the library doesn't have a book in its system, librarians will borrow the book from another library in Canada and mail it. They even include a stamped, addressed envelope so the children won't have to pay to return the book. All right, so looking at that, tell me, how does the Librarian by Mail program work? What do you have to do first? If you want a book to come to you in the mail, what do you have to do first? Then what happens? And then what happens? The boys take their young friend Lisa for a ride on their sled as they walk to the post office to pick up their books. The boys look forward to reading that night. On winter days, the sun does not come above the horizon, and when the thermometer reads minus 50 degrees, the children like to curl up with a good book by the wood stove. While the northern wind howls across the tundra, they read fantasy and action novels. Lisa is excited about finding good picture books in her package. So what is life like on the tundra? Think about that. Reread that paragraph if you need to. What is life like on the tundra? They can keep their books for up to 6 weeks. After that, they'll pack them up and walk to the local post office to mail the books back to the library. Then they'll check out the mail every day until another big brown package arrives with new books to devour in their remote corner of Canada's Arctic. All right, next page, page 82. I see a heading. It says Finland. So my prediction is this next section is about Finland. Finland's libraries, possibly. All right. In the middle of Oberland Archipelago is a big water called Golkrona, meaning golden crown. It was given its name by Queen Blanca of Numar. According to an old legend, while on a voyage to Finland, Queen Blanca promised her golden crown to the most beautiful thing she would see along the way. This turned out to be the bay in the south of Finland, and so she let her crown sink into the waves. The bay is now called Golkrona Bay. Okay. The south coast of Finland skirts the Gulf of Finland. The archipelago in the southwest, it's a group of islands, consists of thousands of rocky islands. Some islands have only summer visitors, but others are populated year-round. People in this area of Finland speak both Finnish and Swedish. Since 1976, the Pargas Library has been bringing books to the people of these islands by bookboat, bakbåt, in Swedish, or Kyrgyzstan in Finnish. The boat, called Kolkom, meaning limestone island in Swedish, measures 4 meters wide and 12 meters long. It carries about 600 books. The boat, with a crew consisting of a librarian and an assistant, sails among the islands, making about 10 stops. Kids come scrambling down the rocky shore to collect their books. Some winters are severe in Finland. The boat goes out only from May to October. Majlin, the chief librarian in Pargestad, oversees the operation of the book boat. Reading has become very important to our book boat children, she says. If the book boat didn't come, they might not be reading at all. They are always happy to see us and their supply of new books. Okay, so looking at that last paragraph again on page 83, what evidence in the text supports the idea that if the book boat didn't come, the children in the Gulf of Finland might not be reading at all? It says they wouldn't be reading at all if there wasn't this book boat coming. So what in that paragraph proves to you that that's true, that they really wouldn't be reading anything? Okay. Next page, page 84. I see some pictures with some captions. That first picture has a caption that says, "These young readers are grateful for the books brought by Camel." And then the next caption says, these camels are ready to bring books to children in remote villages. So pay attention to those pictures. They're helping you to understand something. This next section says Kenya. So this is a subheading to what this next section is about. The roads to Bola Infant, 200 miles northeast of Nairobi, are impassable because of the desert sand, even for cars with four-wheel drive. But young people who live in nomadic villages in the area are hungry for books. Nomadic areas are areas that are really far away where there's not a lot nearby. So librarians use the most economical means of transportation, camels. Library camels are on the road 5 days a week. They carry heavy loads and need little water in the heat of the desert. One camel may carry as many as 500 books, weighing about 400 pounds. A driver and a librarian divide the books into 2 boxes. They saddle them on the camel's back, which is covered with a grass mat for protection. A second camel carries a tent that serves as the library roof. Okay, why are camels the most efficient way to bring books to children in the villages? You kind of have to go back and look at page 84 and the beginning of this page, page 85. Why is a camel the best thing to bring books to these children? The students of Bola Iftin eagerly await the arrival of the camels. When the library caravan finally reaches the village, the children watch as the librarian pitches the tent and displays the books on wooden shelves. The librarian places the grass mats on the ground in the shade of an acacia tree, making a place where the children can sit. The students can treasure their new books for 2 weeks. When the library camel returns, the children can trade their books for new ones. All right, what is a caravan? Why do the library camels require a caravan to get the job done? So a caravan is like a group that's traveling together. Okay, so why is it that they need a caravan to get this job done? Page 86, Mongolia. For centuries, people in Mongolia have led a nomadic lifestyle, moving across the steppe of vast grass-covered plain with their herds. Many people are still herders of livestock, moving with their herds as they graze. They're nomadic. It means they move from place to place. They don't really build a house and stay in one spot. The life of the nomads has not changed very much since the old days, except that nowadays the herders like to use iron horses, meaning motorbikes. So they call their motorbikes iron horses instead of real horses. Very few people have telephones, television, or access to their computers. But most people can read. There is almost no illiteracy in their country. What makes books really especially important to these people in Mongolia? If they don't have things like TV and computers and the internet, why is it really important that they get their books? Jambin Dashtong is a very well-known writer of children's books in Mongolia. He was looking for a way to bring books to the many children of herders' families who live scattered across the Gobi Desert. A horse-drawn wagon, as well as a camel, is used to carry books into the desert. Together with Mongolian Children's Cultural Foundation, Mr. Dashadong was able to obtain a minibus and 10,000 books, mostly donated by Japan. The Japanese books are being translated into Mongolian, and Mr. Dashtanong makes trips with the minibus to bring the books to children in the countryside. The book tour is called Amti Nom, which means candy books. Why? Because before they share the books, the children are given food, including some sweets. After the children listen to stories and choose books, Mr. Dashtong asks, which was sweeter, books or candies? And the children always answer, books. What evidence does the author provide that books are treasured by the people of Mongolia, especially the children? So what does the author tell you that helps you to see that books are really treasured by these children? They really like their books. What did the author say that makes you think that? I just returned from a trip to visit herders' children in the Great Gobi Desert, said Mr. Dashdong, who had visited nearly 10,000 children in the past 2 years. We covered some 1,500 kilometers in 2 weeks, and this was in winter, so it was cold and snowy. We had no winter fuel for our bus, so we had to use summer fuel, and the fuel froze at night, making the bus stall, but we weren't cold. The stories and their heroes kept us warm. So how does Mr. Dashnog feel about his work as a librarian? Do you think it's important to him? How does he feel about it? Read that paragraph again if you need help. But how does he feel about being a librarian? We're on page 88 now. Peru. Children in Peru can receive their books in several forms. In several different innovative ways. Kadili Ibi, Peru, is an institution that delivers books in bags to family in Lima. Each bag contains 20 books, which families can keep for a month. The books come in 4 different reading levels so that children really learn how to read. The project in Spanish is called El Libro Compartido en Familia, and enables parents to share the joy of books with their children. In small rural communities, books are delivered in wooden suitcases and plastic bags. These suitcases and bags contain books that the community can keep and share for the next 3 months. The number of books in each suitcase depends on the size of the community. There are no library buildings in these small towns, and people gather outside in the plaza to see the books they can check out. In the coastal region, books are sometimes delivered by donkey cart. The books are stored in the reading promoter's home. In the ancient city of Kajmaraka, reading promoters from various rural areas select and receive large collections of books from their area. The program is called Aspendurik. The reading promoter lends these books to his or her neighbors, and after 3 months, a new selection of books goes out to each area. Books in this system are for children and adults. And last but not least, Feya Algria brings a collection of children's books to rural schools. The books are brought from school to school by wagon. The children, who are excited about browsing through the books when they arrive, are turning into avid readers. So, what are 3 different programs that brings books to communities in Peru? Look back in this page to find those 3 different programs. Last one is Thailand. This is page 90. Looking at the caption at the top with the picture of the kids on the elephants, it says the elephant library is headed for remote villages in northern Thailand. In Omkhoi, a region of northern Thailand, there are no schools or libraries. Tribal people cannot read or write. The government of Thailand hopes to change this with a literacy program that includes bringing books to remote villages in the jungle. So what is the goal of the Thai government for the Books by Elephant program? Read that paragraph again. Why did they start this program? What's the goal? A number of these villages can be reached only on foot. This makes transportation difficult, especially during the rainy season. How do you get books to people who need them most when they live in hard-to-reach mountainous regions of northern Thailand? Elephants. The Chiang Mai Non-Foundational Education Center had the idea to use elephants as libraries. Elephants are already being used here to plow the paddy fields and to carry logs and crops. Now, more than 20 elephants in the Omkhoi region are used to carry books. The elephant teams spend 2 to 3 days in each village. Each trip covers 7 or 8 villages, so it takes each elephant team 18 to 20 days to complete a round trip. So, which book distribution efforts from other countries does the Books by Elephant program most resemble? So, which other country did we learn about that this kind of reminds you of, where elephants are delivering books? Which country is it? Look back in your book if you need to. The Book by Elephant delivery program serves 37 villages, providing education for almost 2,000 people in the Omkhoi region. They have even designated special metal slates that won't break when carried on the elephants' backs across the rough terrain. I'm on page 91 on the second paragraph. These slates are used to teach Thai children to write and read. These are also two-person teams carrying books to about 16 villages, bringing learning materials to another 600 people. Wow. Okay, so how is this program a little bit different than some of the other programs that we've read about? In Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, old train carriages have been transformed into a library. The train is called Hong Rafe Yakwin, which means library train for young people. The train serves the homeless children of Bangkok. The Railway Police Division in Bangkok realized that there was a need for a safe place for street children, so they refurbished the old train carriages at the railway station where many of the kids were hanging out. The police restored the trains to their old glory, complete with wood paneling and shining copper light fixtures. They turned the railway cars into a library and a classroom. Here, the children learned to read and write. The police have even transformed the area around the train into a garden where they can grow herbs and vegetables. So how is this program similar to the Book by Elephant program, and how is it a little bit different? All right. You are done with your first read of My Librarian is a Camel.